So what's up people and welcome to another Alita Battle Angel video. Yeah, this time I want to talk about reviewers. And it's interesting because of the fact that considering that the movie, it's been over a year since the movie first came out. I was surprised just how many people were still reviewing this movie. And it's not just a matter of, I received a DVD and let me tell you about how the DVD is packaged, sort of thing. There are, videos like that. But I was surprised at just how many people wanted to talk about this movie. And it got me to thinking about something. When you started listening to a lot of these people and wondered why they would make a review of a movie that was out so far back, you started understanding that they weren't doing this to get the views. Oh, of course, everybody wants to get the views, right? Including yours truly. But they're doing it because I think they found emotional passion in this movie. And so despite it being over a year old, they still wanted to create a movie review. And with that, you can understand that for the most part, I think all of the reviews were positive. There was one negative one, which to be honest, I don't think I can find it again. So I don't have it here. So I apologize. If you wanted to see a negative review, please tell me in the comment section and I'll try to go look for it and put it into, one of the other videos that I'll bring up with regards to reviewers. But anyway, today what I wanted to do was give some listings of the reviewers that have made a review of Alita Battle Angel over the past, I would say within the past 2 months. And these are just ones that I found, so I presume that there are a lot more than that. And so many of these were very good. Many of these are very new. I think they are from YouTubers who really don't make videos, but I think they wanted to make a video for this movie. So they don't have that many hits and they don't have that many views. So if you're interested, go take a look at it. And if you like the content, give them a like. Anyway, so the first one is probably my favorite out of the list. And that is by a gentleman named Movies That Matter with the Viking. Yeah. That's the name of the YouTube channel. And matter is spelled M-A-H-E-R. So I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm going to keep on saying matter. Anyway, so he gave a very detailed review of the movie. And you could tell that he put a lot of passion into it. And he put a lot of thought into it. He said it was a movie that he completely forgot about, because he never got too impressed with the trailers. And after watching the trailers, he even forgot that this movie existed. But eventually, he came to notice that there is a tremendous fandom for this movie, the Alita Army. And he said he wanted to take things objective. He was very impressed by the sheer passion and the loyalty that the fandom had. But he wasn't sure whether it was driven by a quality movie or by hype. And so he wanted to go see the movie, but he wanted to take an objective viewpoint with that. And so with watching the movie, he gives his experience. And he brought out some very unique things. He said the character feels very unique in that it's a science fiction film that has a CG, a mostly CG character, and yet it is one that he's become extremely emotionally attached to. And one thing he found very unique about this character is Alita is a character who she herself feels and understands that she's different than others. She wakes up, she has no memory, but she feels there is something not really special, but off from everybody else. And she realizes that with her fighting, she realizes that with her attitude, and many of these things. And so that, of course, brings up the curiosity of her trying to figure out who she is. And this movie reflected that very well. And I thought that comment was very, very interesting. And he also mentioned one thing that I think many of you have mentioned, that she is more emotional than a good majority of human characters that come out in other movies. But another unique thing he said is that her conflict, the things she battles in this movie, although you get drawn and obviously reacting to the physical conflicts, her conflicts are just as much emotional as it is physical, and that is what makes the human part, the emotional part, the empathic part become very strong with this movie, and that's why he became so emotionally attached with the character, which I found to be very interesting. And he brought out another very interesting point. He said this film had so many possibilities of failing. It is a film based upon anime and manga, which is, of course, destined to fail typically. It has so many other superhero type of movies coming against it. And there was so many things that potentially could make it fail because it was so out of the ordinary. And yet it was able to bring it all together and succeed. And so in the very end, his conclusion is that he understands now why the fandom is so passionate with this character, because he himself has become engrossed with her. And he understands why people want to see a sequel, because of the fact that, of course, he himself would like to go on a journey with her. And so this was a very good review, I think. I would suggest that if you were going to see any one of these reviews, this one was the one to see. The other thing is I didn't know this, but he said that Edward Norton, who of course plays Destinova in the movie, actually after seeing how they were going to go ahead with the Hulk series, decided that he didn't want to be a part of it, and he himself pulled out of that franchise. But then he turned around and agreed to come into Alita Battle Angel. And so this reviewer finds high respect in Edward Norton and understands that he is an actor who reviews and scrutinizes the script a lot. And so just hearing the fact that Edward Norton was agreeing to come in gave him high hopes with regards to the movie. Anyway, so that's the first list, and I apologize for taking so long in describing it, but I thought that it was a very good review. Now the next review is by a gentleman whose channel is called Omega Level Entertainment. And this was a very positive, how do you say it? A very upbeat sort of reviewer. You know, you could see that this person, if they keep on going with this level, may turn out to be a very popular reviewer in the near future. You know, doesn't ramble on like me, but actually puts together very clear, concise messages. But anyway, he was very positive with the movie. And of course, he talks about the standard stuff, right? The CGI, the action, and whatever. But one of the unique things that he brought out is he liked two things about the movie. First, it doesn't try to explain everything. It leaves many of the things in a mystery. And he thought that many people may find that negative, but he found that positive because it doesn't dumb it down to the audience, thinking the audience will not get it, and so they have to be explained through long, monotonous dialogue or scenes, right? This one kept it so that the viewer started asking questions, and it actually pulled you into the movie. The other one that he found, which was interesting, and he brought it out in an interesting way. He took a criticism that a lot of other reviewers had and turned it into a positive note. He said that the movie slows down in the middle part. But from his perspective, he says it's understandable. And it's not something that should be criticized because of the fact that in the middle part, it goes into relationship building. And unlike the actions that happen at the end and some of it that happened in the beginning, the middle part is drawn into trying to create the character. And you don't want to do that in a rush sort of manner. So while the action is exciting and while the explosions and all that are great, this isn't a movie like you would have in terms of like the Transformers or something where everything is exploding and that's why you actually go see the movie. This one actually slows down to actually have a real character depth interaction. And that's what he liked about the movie. Anyway, so I'll leave a link to Omega Level Entertainment. And it is a good video. The next reviewer is from a channel called Springwood Elm Str. And it is another review, positive review. He liked the film. Read the manga, which is very interesting, and watched the anime. And he thought that it was closer to the manga than the anime, which is interesting because from a story perspective, I thought that it was closer to the anime than the manga. But I'm not sure. Maybe he's talking about not really the plot, which was closer to the anime, but maybe the look and feel, which may be closer to the manga. I do agree that it had a lot of depth and had a lot of empathy, and so that maybe that's what he's talking about. He gives an overall plot description, and as always, he wants to see a sequel and feels that this is Robert Rodriguez's most sophisticated film. So anyway, if you would like to see his video, then I will leave a link as well. Okay, so the next one is by a channel called Elephant Fan. And this is, I think, I'm not sure if this is by a veteran YouTuber. It seems very in the beginning of this person's channel. But he says some interesting things too. He has nothing to add that hasn't been said before, he says in the beginning. But what he can say is that he liked it. But there were some good points that he brought out. He said that unfortunately, if you look at the review of a lot of critics versus what he saw, what he experienced, he said there's something very strange about how it was criticized. It was criticized through the appearance, big eyes, feminine features, too colorful a city, whatever. But the movie wasn't mostly about the appearance. I mean, the special effects were great. And the whether you like the appearance of the main character is interesting, but it's not the point. The point is the story. And the story goes into such great depth and feeling that it doesn't matter how the main character appears. It doesn't matter how a lot of this other stuff goes. You could understand that this movie is carried by the quality of the story. And its ending is left open for a sequel. But it still gave a very complete movie and makes you want to go see that sequel rather than to have something that later says, come see the sequel, it's going to be so much grander than everything else. And so, as much as he saw the critics, and as much as he thought that this was going to be a meh sort of film, after he watched it, he said that this movie was 100 times better than what he expected. So anyway, if you want to go see his review, then I'll leave a link to that one as well. Okay, and the next one is by a channel called Iron Knight Gaming. And again, in the review, the reviewer said that they loved it. And this is one that actually went and said they loved the Hugo Alita love story. Doesn't go too much in beyond that. One of the things he was upset at was the Hugo death scene was not as well done compared to the manga and the anime, and kind of felt flat. And I can understand that because of the fact that they left out the Hugo backstory, right? And that made you wonder why he was so obsessed in wanting to go to Zalem, which wasn't explained in the movie. But he did like the movie, and he's worried about the sequel, and can't see it happening just because he doesn't trust the people who may be in control of it. So if you want to actually see his concerns, then yeah, go check out Iron Knight Gaming. Once again, I'll leave a link. The next one is by a gentleman whose channel is called My Side of the Laundry Room. Yeah, this is a gentleman who is a longtime Battle Angel Alita manga fan. And he was surprised that it was so faithful to the essence of the manga. And the thing he liked about it is considering the fact that it was so cyberpunk and so flashy. And whenever you have such a big expense, you worry that the flash will overwhelm the story, the CGI effects and everything. And especially with the recent movies, story takes a back seat to all the messaging as well as the great shots or whatever that's brought up. But here, he liked it because of the fact that Robert Rodriguez kept it down to earth and focused on a lot of the story. And although the flash and the action was great, it was, of course, the story that he always loved from the manga. And so he loved it, and as always, he wants a sequel as well. So if you want to see his review, yeah, My Side of the Laundry Room. Okay, so this brings us to Jonny Suite 13. Yeah, he had probably one of the most passionate reviews that I've seen out of all of these. It's not like the first one, by Movies That Matter with the Viking, his channel, where he has a much more calm and logical, very mature approach to it. Well, Jonny Suite can be as well, but he went completely to the other side. And so you could tell that sometimes he gets so excited that he's not exactly sure what to say. But if you want to see somebody who absolutely loved it and wants to tell people just how much he loved it, yeah, go see it, He fell in love with the actress Rosa Salazar by making him fall in love with Alita, the character. And it made him 100% interested into the story. And what's interesting is he also saw the remake of Rollerball, but he feels that Alita is much closer to the original 1970s Rollerball than the remake. And so he was very excited about that. And because the movie played out so well, he does want to see a sequel. And he loved the fact that the movie was so unique in its storytelling and so stylish in its storytelling. So again, if you want somebody who wants to give a review with so much passion, yeah, Jonny Suite 13. Okay, so the next reviewer was somebody called Jon Beaudette. And he felt, well, again, he liked the movie. He felt that Rosa Salazar gave a tremendous performance, and Alita felt like the most human out of all the characters that came out in the movie, which is ironical because she is, of course, a cyborg. But he also liked the persona of Ito and how the two interacted. The fight choreography was spectacular, and so was the visual effects. And so, yeah, again, a very happy fan. And if you would like to see his video, then I will leave a link. And so I'll end with one more. There were other reviewers, but I want to leave it to the ones which were most notable. Some of them were only a few minutes long, and they were more focused on talking about their meals or something like that they wanted to make rather than the movie. And so I'll leave you to not have to watch those. But I'll finish with another reviewer who gave a very in-depth review of the movie. And his channel's name is Raphael Farmer, which I presume is the gentleman's name as well. And he starts out by saying, Oh my gosh, how did I miss this in the theaters? He knows. He says, I know. The trailer made it look cheap. The trailer made it look bad. But it is so good that I now keep on asking myself, how? How did I miss this in the theaters? You know? They have a story and a character, which you would expect to be typical of a movie, but it isn't these days. And to be able to see a movie that has story and character and not just a bunch of moving CG images, which is not what he wants to see in the movie, then this is a very good movie for him. The character reminded him of the character, the bride, in Kill Bill. And in both cases, these characters go through a tremendous amount of difficulties, and they have to overcome that. And just like the bride in Kill Bill, Alita rises to the challenge. And he found that to be so exciting. The other thing he felt, which is again, what you start seeing a common theme come up with a lot of the people who understood and appreciated the movie. He said, the CG isn't there to tell the story. The CG is there to enhance the story. And he says, you would think that it would be obvious, but it isn't when you look at all these other movies where eventually the CG takes the main stage. And the story is there just to move the CG along and give everybody, sensory excitement. But here, the CG is good, but it's only there to support a very, very good story. The world building is in depth, and it's not just that the world is there for the character to run around in. And small things like the Alita chocolate scene makes you realize just how much detail they are putting into building the world to make you appreciate and feel close to not only the character, not only the story, but the entire world that surrounds it. So I thought that, again, this reviewer did a really nice job of reviewing the story. And so, as always, I will leave a link to this reviewer as well. His name is Raphael Farmer, and go check it out. There are other reviews that I would like to talk about, but they are for the manga, actually. And it's surprising that you do see one for the manga. And so I'll give a couple. So there was one by a gentleman named Callum Johns. And he talks about a very long and detailed thing about how he loves the manga. It gives that 90s cyberpunk feel. It's has its own unique feel different from the movie. So reading the manga after watching the movie is not a deja vu experience. It is an experience on its own. He's saying for anybody who watched the movie and who's questioning whether they want to read the manga, he said, go read the manga. You'll have a totally new, fresh perspective of the story. It's visceral, it's gritty, it has good character depth. Destinova seems so different between the manga and the movie. The retconned original ending feels poetic. It actually does. But he understands that there is a lot more depth and detail to what comes later. So although the retconned ending does feel rushed, he doesn't mind that because there is so much more to read later on. And it has a lot of scientific grounding. There really is a tremendous amount of science in it, but it doesn't get overwhelmed by it. And it has a tremendous amount of action in it, but it doesn't get overwhelmed by it. The story stands by its own. And so if you want to see a good review of the manga, then yeah, go see Callum Johns. I'll leave a link to his video as well. And finally, let me see if I can find this. Here we go. Addict Informative. Yeah, you could tell I'm reading, taking notes and reading my notes while I go along. You don't think that I actually memorized all of this, do you? Anyway, Addict Informative. He actually gives a volume by volume review of the original series. He's in the original series so far. I got a feeling this gentleman is going to eventually start doing Last Order and then Mars Chronicle. This guy is completely into the manga, and he goes over each one. What's interesting is he gives his review right after he's read that particular volume, which means that, of course, he hasn't read the following volumes. And you get to see a lot of the feeling of what he expects to come out in future volumes. And so if you want to see a person who gives a review and goes through the analysis of the story and how it changes as he goes down the volumes, then yeah, Addict Informative is really good. I think he's up to volume 7, so he's probably in the Barjack arc, but the one I'll get linked to and the one I saw was for volume 4, the Motorball arc. And so yeah, he gives a very good and very detailed description of what the story is. And yeah, he was saying that out of all the Motorball characters aside from Alita and Joshigan, yeah, he liked Teagle, the big guy, right? And so anyway, if you want to go see a volume by volume review, then yeah, Addict Informative might be one you might want to follow. Anyway, so that's about it. And there are more. I keep on finding ones that I missed. But I did want to give you these to first give you links so that you could go see more Alita reviews, but also to give you some feeling that, yeah, there's a lot more people out there, even now, that are experiencing the Alita experience and finding it so heartening. And so, yeah, the movie is over. I'm in the theaters. And the Blu-rays and the DVDs have been out for a while, and you would think that things have calmed down. But if you look at these reviews, no, there are a lot of people who are getting so blown away that they decided to make videos on it. And many of these people are not professional YouTube players, right? And their subscription levels are in the few hundreds at the most for a lot of these. And so yeah, I mean, they're not doing it so far anyway for monetization. They can't until they get 1,000 subscribers. And so yeah, I think they're doing it because they really wanted to express their feeling. So anyway, yeah, because there are new YouTubers, give them a like, give them a support, go take a look at them. Anyway, that's about it for this video, and I'll go back to my other Alita Battle Angel type videos in the future. I hope you join me at that time. And in any case, thank you very much for watching, and as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.